He should not have been there. Not at the altar. Not under those lights. Not with tears in his eyes. And definitely not saying my name. The service had almost ended when it happened. The choir had finished singing. The pastor was praying softly. People were already reaching for bags and Bibles. It should have been an ordinary night. That was why I came on Tuesdays. Nothing special happened on Tuesdays. No crowd. No pressure. No long greetings after service. Just a quiet room. A short message. A chance to breathe. I had built my whole life around places where I could breathe. After what happened, that became important. Breathing. Sleeping. Walking into rooms without checking every face twice. Sitting with my back to a wall. Answering unknown numbers without fear. Things other people call normal became victories to me. From the outside, my life looked repaired. I had a job, a routine, clean clothes, a calm voice, a church seat that was always waiting near the back. People called me strong. I never corrected them. Strength is a useful misunderstanding. It keeps people from asking deeper questions. The truth was simpler. I was surviving with structure. Wake up early. Go to work. Reply politely. Avoid late-night calls. Keep conversations short. Keep my smile ready. Keep church as the only place where tears looked acceptable. That was my system. Faith stayed in my life through all of it. Not loud faith. Not confident faith. Small faith. The kind whispered while locking a door. The kind prayed in a parked car. The kind that says, "Lord, let today pass quietly." Those were my prayers. I did not ask for big miracles anymore. I stopped doing that after him. Before everything broke, I used to pray boldly. I used to dream boldly too. I believed people meant what they said. I believed kindness was usually safe. I believed I could tell when danger was near. Then he entered my life. I will not give every detail. Some pain does not need new language. It already took enough. What matters is this. He was trusted. He was welcomed. He was close enough to ruin more than one thing. When he hurt me, he did not only wound my heart. He wounded time. There was life before him. Then there was life after. And life after felt like walking through smoke. I kept functioning. That is the strange part. I still went to work. Still answered greetings. Still attended church. Still posted normal things online from time to time. Nothing collapsed publicly. But inside was different. Inside I was split. Part of me kept moving. Another part stayed trapped in that old moment. Still stunned. Still replaying it. Still asking the same useless questions. Why did I not see it sooner? Why did I trust him? Why did God let me walk into that? Those questions followed me everywhere. Especially to church. Church was the only place where my anger and faith sat side by side. I could worship and still feel wounded. I could listen to sermons and still feel betrayed. I could say amen, while wondering why heaven had been so quiet. That is how I lived for a long time. Half surrender, half survival. Then the strange things began. Small things first. One evening after service, I noticed a folded note in my Bible. I knew it had not been there before. My hands froze when I saw it. No name, no greeting, just one sentence. God sees what was hidden. I read it 3 times. Then I looked around the nearly empty sanctuary. An usher was stacking chairs. 2 women were talking near the entrance. No one looked at me. I slipped the note back into the Bible and left. I told myself it was random. Maybe part of some church encouragement plan. Maybe a message meant for anyone. Still, it unsettled me. Because it sounded too exact. I had spent years hiding what happened. Not because it did not matter. Because I wanted control over at least one thing. Silence gave me that, or so I thought. Now a sentence had found me inside church. God sees what was hidden. That night, I barely slept. The next Tuesday, I almost stayed home. But home had become dangerous in its own way. Too much silence. Too much room for memory. So I went. Same seat. Same quiet entrance. Same attempt to disappear. Halfway through worship, the woman beside me began crying softly. I did not know her. Had never seen her before. Then she leaned close and whispered, "Do not be afraid of what God brings into the light." I turned so fast, I almost dropped my Bible. She was still crying. Still facing forward. Before I could speak, she stood up and walked toward the altar. I stared after her. Was she talking to me? Did she know me? Had someone told her something? My heart thudded through the rest of the service. When it ended, I looked for her. She was gone. I checked the aisle, the foyer, outside near the gate. Nothing. No one on the prayer team knew who I meant. One usher even said no woman had come forward from my row. That made no sense. I know what I heard. I started watching people after that. Not openly. Carefully. Every new face made me tense. Every glance lasted too long. Every unexpected message felt loaded. Maybe trauma makes you suspicious. Or maybe pain teaches you to notice what others ignore. Either way, I felt something moving around me. Something I could not explain. Then came the sermon that broke me. The pastor preached from the story of the woman who touched Jesus' garment. Most people focus on the healing. He focused on something else. He said, Jesus stopped, not because power left him. He stopped because hidden pain had finally reached for him. That sentence landed deep. I sat there still as stone. Then he said, some people do not need another sermon. They need the courage to stop hiding what almost killed them. I lowered my head, fast, because tears had come without warning. I did not go forward for prayer. I never did. That was another rule I lived by. Do not become visible. But in the car that night, I broke. I held the steering wheel and cried until my chest hurt. Not neat crying. Not church crying. Real crying. I said, Lord, what do you want from me? Rain tapped against the windshield. The car felt too small. My body felt tired clear through to the bone. Then I whispered the prayer I had avoided for years. If bringing it into the light is the only way, then help me, because I cannot do it alone. I sat there afterward, trembling. I did not hear thunder. No bright sign appeared. Nothing dramatic happened, but I felt something quiet, like a hand on a locked door. Not forcing it, just resting there. The next week, I nearly turned back at the church gate. I do not know why. Only that fear was louder than usual. Something felt close. Not evil. Not peaceful either. Just close. Inside, the service moved normally at first. Prayer. Song. Announcements. Then a man entered through the side door. I noticed him because several heads turned. He wore a dark shirt. Kept his eyes low. Walked with the slow caution of someone unsure if they should stay. I glanced once, then looked again. My blood ran cold. It was him, the man who broke my life. For 1 second, the whole room tilted. I gripped the bench, so hard my fingers hurt. Air would not fully enter my lungs. He looked older, thinner, like life had pressed hard against him. But it was him. I would have known that face anywhere. 1,000 thoughts crashed into me. Did he know I came here? Was this planned? Had he come to find me? Had someone told him about me? I wanted to run, but my body would not move. That is the strange thing about terror. Sometimes it does not make you flee. Sometimes it nails you in place. He took a seat near the side wall. Far from me, head down. The pastor began preaching. I heard almost none of it. My ears were full of old sounds. My mind was full of old scenes. My body had become one long alarm. I looked once toward the exit. Too far. Too crowded. Then I bowed my head and prayed the rawest prayer I knew. Lord, not here. That was all at first. Then more came. Not in church. Not in the only place I have left. Please, not here. Tears slipped down before I could stop them. I kept my face lowered. I did not want anyone seeing. I did not want him seeing most of all. Then the pastor stopped preaching mid-sentence. He closed his Bible. The room went quiet in a way that did not feel ordinary. He said, there is a reason this service feels heavy tonight. No one moved. He stepped away from the pulpit slowly, looked across the room, then said, someone is here carrying buried violence. And someone else is here carrying buried pain. My heart slammed hard. The pastor continued, God will not let either remain hidden. Not tonight. The air changed. I cannot explain that better. Nothing visible shifted, but the room felt charged, focused, as if heaven had leaned close. Then the pastor asked everyone to stand. He invited people to pray in silence. The church rose. Soft whispers filled the room. A keyboard played low behind us. I stayed frozen for a second, then stood too. My knees felt weak. I kept my head down and whispered, if you are here, help me. That was when I heard footsteps. Not many. Just one pair. Slow. Deliberate. I looked up. He was walking toward the altar. I could not believe it. No one had called him out by name. No one had pointed. Still, he kept moving. When he reached the front, he stopped, then dropped to his knees so suddenly people gasped. He covered his face with both hands. And the man I remembered as polished, controlled, dangerous, started shaking. The pastor knelt beside him and said something too low for me to hear. The man nodded, then shook his head, then nodded again. Finally, a microphone was placed near him. His voice came out rough, broken, nothing like I remembered. He said, "I came here to leave again." A pause. Then, I almost turned back at the gate. My whole body went still. He kept talking. He said he had not entered a church in years. Not really. He had visited some, sat near the back, left before prayer. But for months, he had been unable to sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he said, one face came back. Not many faces. One. Mine. I thought my heart would stop. The room was silent except for his voice and the faint keyboard. Then he said the sentence that reframed everything. I ruined someone's life, and no amount of moving has moved it off me. A few people began crying. He kept going. He said he changed cities, changed jobs, changed numbers, tried alcohol, tried noise, tried denial. Nothing worked, because guilt has a voice, and apparently it had finally grown loud enough to drag him into church. Then he said something I never expected. 3 nights earlier, he dreamed of a sanctuary he had never seen. A cross behind a low stage, blue chairs, a cracked tile near the second aisle. He woke up disturbed, ignored it, then dreamed it again the next night. On the 3rd night, a woman in white appeared in the dream and said, "Go to the altar. Do not speak to her. Speak to God." My breath caught. Our church had blue chairs, a cross behind the stage, and a cracked tile near the second aisle. He could not have known that. He had never been there before. I knew that because the church was far from the area where he used to live. He said he drove around the neighborhood for nearly an hour before finding the building. And when he entered, he saw the same room from the dream. The same cross, the same chairs, the same cracked tile. My fear did not vanish in that moment. But something else entered it, a trembling kind of awe. The pastor asked softly, "Why are you here?" And with tears running down his face, he answered, "To confess before God. To stop hiding. To accept whatever comes. Because I heard the altar is the only place left where liars become honest." That line went through me like fire. The altar. I had always thought of the altar as a place for the strong, the surrendered, the visibly broken, never for the man who broke me. And yet there he was, at the feet of God, not powerful, not smooth, not protected by secrecy anymore, just exposed. Then came the moment I still replay sometimes. The pastor stood and said, "The wounded person does not need to come forward tonight." I did not realize until then that I had taken a step into the aisle. I had not even noticed my own movement. He kept speaking. "The Lord says this is not the night for forced words. This is the night for truth. Mercy can begin without performance." I started sobbing, quietly at first, then harder, because those words reached places no human hand had touched. Mercy without performance. I had spent years performing recovery, performing calm, performing strength, and now heaven was telling me I did not need to perform anything, not even forgiveness. Not yet. I sank back onto the bench. At the altar, he continued confessing. Not graphic details, not reckless public theater, but enough truth to break the lie of silence. Enough for darkness to lose ground. Enough for me to stop wondering if my pain had been exaggerated by memory. No, it had been real, and now it stood in the light where it belonged. Then came the final twist. As the pastor prayed over him, the man suddenly lifted his head and looked toward my section. Not directly at me, almost through me, and he said, "I thought I destroyed her life forever. But in the dream, the woman in white told me something else." The room held its breath. He swallowed hard, then said, "She said, God kept what I tried to kill." I felt those words hit somewhere deeper than language, because that was exactly what I had feared all along. Not only that he hurt me, that he had ended something in me for good. My joy, my trust, my future. my ability to be whole. But in one sentence, spoken by the last mouth I wanted to hear, God answered that fear. He kept what I tried to kill. I cannot explain what happened inside me after that. It was not sudden happiness, not easy peace, not some movie ending where all pain turns warm. It was holier than that, and harder. It felt like chains loosening, like heaven opening a window in a room I thought would stay sealed forever. The service ended differently that night. No rush, no chatter, no shallow dismissal. Leaders surrounded the altar. People prayed quietly. Some knelt where they were. I stayed seated until an older woman from church came beside me. She said nothing. She only held my hand. That kindness nearly undid me again. Later, there were conversations. Wise ones, protected ones, necessary ones. Boundaries were set. Leaders got involved. Truth was handled carefully. And no, healing did not finish that night. Real healing rarely does. But something happened that night which had never happened before. The story stopped belonging to darkness. For years, the worst thing he did was not only the act itself. It was the silence that followed. The secrecy. The way it left me carrying both pain and proof. But at the altar, under the eyes of God, silence broke. And when silence broke, something in me began to breathe again. Now when I think of that night, I do not first remember his face. I remember the altar. The place I feared. The place I avoided. The place where I thought only polished prayers belonged. And yet it became the place where God met both the wound and the one who caused it, not to confuse justice, not to erase pain, but to begin truth. That is the part one hold on to now. The altar is not just for perfect people. It is for endings, for confessions, for surrendered weapons, for buried things finally being brought into light, and sometimes, for impossible meetings no human could have planned. So maybe you are carrying something hidden. Maybe someone wounded you deeply. Maybe part of your life still feels broken because of it. Hear me. God is not absent from ruined places. He is not late to hidden pain. And he is not afraid of the names you still struggle to say aloud. Sometimes the very place you go to hide becomes the place where heaven answers. Sometimes the altar is not where your life ends. It is where truth begins. If this story reminded you that God still meets broken people in impossible moments, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to this channel, because some testimonies are born in silence, but they do not stay there forever.